Hey, it's Owen and Happy, and today I'm looking at the Retro Powerstrip recording channel, an old style preamp, EQ and compressor all in one solid box. Retro is a long-running company out of Modesto, California, started in 2006 by radio wizard Phil Moore in a quest to create his own version of the Gates Sta-level, with a few extra elements to easily integrate it into a modern studio setting. The retro version of the Sta-level was a huge success, and from this point the company has progressed onward, developing a whole pile of similar spirited equipment. The first thing you notice about the Powerstrip is the incredibly solid steel enclosure, powder coated in utilitarian grey, with a vintage VU meter and old style hinged front panel. What a handsome piece. There's a whole lot of knobs across the front, so let's take a quick look to see what's going on here. What we've got is a tube preamp with 74 dB of gain, a very mute compressor, kinda based around the EMI RS124, which is essentially a modified Pultec 436, with a Pultec EQ. I'll take you on a walkthrough across the front, but there'll be a little jumping around, so you gotta focus. Over here on the left, we've got phantom power and phase invert for the preamp. And down here, we've got an instrument input, and next to that, an input selector for line in, mic, and instrument. Now let's jump to the input knob over here. This is the level for the mic preamp and also the level for the compressor input. So when you're using the unit as combined mic pre and compressor, you need to balance this well. And if you want a dark, more vintage sound, pull out the input knob for a slightly different tone. Next to this, we've got our output, which is essentially the makeup gain. And below that, we've got a sidechain high-pass filter that runs from off to 90 Hz to 250 Hz, with an additional setting at the end to bypass the compressor completely. Next to this, we've got our compressor attack and release time constant, which runs from fast to slow over 6 settings. Now, let's jump back to the left side of this thing and look through the EQ section. What we've got here is a very well built Pultec EQP1A with an expanded range of boost frequencies from the original. If you're watching this, I'm assuming you know what a Pultec does, so I won't reiterate that. To the right, we've got our EQ in and out switch, and below that is the interesting one. Now back in the day, you'd use the low end trick on your Pultec to get a beautiful bass bump by combining the boost and cut controls on your unit. As you're recording the tape would cut the low frequencies off for you. But when you're recording it digital, you don't have that luxury. So when you do the Pultec based boost trick, you kind of get a big boost that runs audibly lower than what you really need, all the way down to almost 0. And it can really lead to some sloppy low end. Well, fortunately, this is one of the only units I'm aware of that cater to this issue by having a subsonic filter after the Pultec, so you can roll off at either 40 to 90 Hz and still enjoy a beautiful, massive low-end bump. Look around the back of this thing, we've got a standard mic in, and line out XLR connectors, an instrument through jack output, so you can send an unaffected signal through if you like to use this box as a DI, and a high Z out for ease of using the box to reamp sources. Great! Next to these, we've got an RCA output for coupling if you have a stereo pair. Also back here, we've got a layout similar to a Pultec unit, in that all the tubes and transformers are on the rear, and there's 4 audio transformers, including this big one in the middle with a huge old style metal box over it to isolate it from the tubes. The tubes we've got are a 12AX7, which I'm guessing is for the preamp section, a 12AU7, which I'm not sure what its use is in the circuit, possibly preamp as well, maybe the soft switch when you pull it out. A 6BS8, which I reckon is our compression Varimute tube, and a 12BH7, which may be for makeup gain after the Pultec, but this is total conjecture on my part. And when you bust this thing open and take a look at the guts, you'll find an incredibly beautiful internal layout. I've got a lot of respect for the Retro company. Today, I'm going to run some drums and bass separately through the unit's line in and tweak it so you can hear what it does. Let's go. And there we have it, the Retro Powerstrip recording channel. A very vintage inspired and full featured mono tube recording channel that kind of has everything you need to get an incredible vintage sound. A preamp, a variable compressor, and a Pultec style EQ. Like I said, it's not going to get you a super crispy modern sound, but looking at the unit like this, that's the last thing you'd expect from it. It's a classy, robust piece that looks how it sounds. Thick, warm and beautiful, with a nice saturation too if you push it hard. It's not a cheap unit, but it fulfills a lot of roles in the studio and does all of them really well. The Powerstrip retails at $6,600 and is available from all good audio wares traders. I'll catch you next time for more stuff.